Hello and welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 105. What's up everybody? I'm Mandobug. This is my channel here on YouTube where I talk about the things that I'm making. This video I have knitting, spinning-ish, and crochet, and sewing-ish. Starting the show out with something I've learned. This week it has been extra important for me to understand the tip, always have a simple sock or simple-ish sock to take with you on the go. Luckily, I usually do have some kind of sock on the needles that's in my big purse, and it's come in handy twice this week. Once I showed up to work 45 minutes early on accident, and so I got some sock knitting done in the car while I waited. And then another time this week, I accidentally showed up an hour early to my doctor's appointment. My brain's been all over the place this week, and so yeah, it's been nice when I accidentally show up early, which early is better than later, but still, I've got a little something to work on, and so I'm not completely bored out of my mind, even though most people, they just play on their smartphone anyways. I'd rather knit, and it was nice to have knitting with me, so whatever you do, wherever you go, you should probably take a simple project. It doesn't have to be socks, but for me, socks take a long time and they're mostly pretty simple. I'll show you the ones that I got to put a little work in on. So these socks, oh, not in this bag, this is something else. But it is a Nightmare Before Christmas bag, so I could see my own confusion. I know better. These socks I started a little while ago, and I haven't worked on them a ton because I've just been working on other projects. These are the Celestial Socks by Brandy. What was her name on here? I don't see it on the front, but I believe her last name is Miller. And they're adorable and simple enough to take on the go. Once I got past I kept making the same mistake over and over, and I finally figured out what it was. There are increases and decreases, and sometimes I would forget to do the decrease after an increase, just whoops, and then I would end up with extra stitches. So I finally got that fixed. So my little dragon eye progress keeper is where I was last time I showed these off on the video podcast. So I've only gotten like an inch, not a whole ton of love, but I am making sure to knit these at a super nice and tight gauge because I've been wearing my hand knit socks in shoes. So I talked about this on my Instagram stories. I haven't talked about it in the videos on YouTube, I don't think. I've knit a decent amount of socks, at least over a dozen now, and I've always been afraid to wear them in my shoes. I'll wear them around the house in the winter when it's cool, but I generally didn't used to wear them out because I was afraid that I would wear through them quicker than I could replace them, because when you first start knitting socks, you don't really have a sock stash. You have like one or two pairs, and so if that's all you wear, you'll probably wear through them faster than you can replace them, depending on the other things that you make and how quick you knit, and there's a lot of variables, right? But I was afraid, and this year has been the first year that I've felt comfortable, like I had a large enough stash of socks to start wearing them in my shoes, and I have to say, there hasn't been a ton of wear. Like I was expecting the shoes to be harder on them than they were, so that's been nice. I've also found that some of my socks that are looser and larger, looser in gauge, looser in fit, those are the ones that are getting harder wear on them because they're moving around a lot more in my shoes. So I'm trying to make sure my socks fit nice and snug and are at a nice dense gauge. I've also noticed I'm getting better wear in shoes with traditional kind of like a top down heel flap kind of sock, or you can do it from the bottom up too. I forget what it's called, but like the short row heel that I've been putting in my socks, they don't seem to wear as well in shoes either. Like that Eye of the Partridge heel kind of or like a slip stitch heel with on the heel flaps, those have been like the best in shoes so far. So I just wanted to bring that up because, I don't know, it was important to me and I didn't really know those things. So maybe you didn't either, but maybe you already did. So yeah, I've been working on these socks. This is Cattails yarn in the Bear Lane colorway. I looked it up on the wiki because I've been listening to the Wheel of Time books, but I haven't come across her yet. And so I'm trying to do my best to pronounce the names correctly because I am like halfway through the first book and there's a place called Bear Lawn. And because I'm listening to it and not reading it, I have to look stuff up to see how it's spelled. And Bear Lane, I was like, is that Bear Lawn? But it's not. It's somebody later in the series. I don't know, extra side stuff, just letting you know this colorway is inspired by the Wheel of Time series. If you're familiar with the books, you probably already know who this character is. I have yet to do that. I think the wiki said she's a couple books in. I'm not sure. But what a beautiful colorway. It's like this nice mauve color, and it's got some like speckles of turquoise, kind of a green turquoise, and it's on the gold glitter. So, and I've got my celestial star motif down the front here. Once I get up past the heel, there's a moon, like a crescent moon motif on the back. So I've got some minis that Kat from Cattails Yarn sent me, and so I think I'm going to use those for the contrasting heel. But I'm still a little ways away from that. So since I showed you the sock that I've had to have on hand, and it's been nice to have on hand, I'll just go right into the rest of my works in progress. No surprise, I am still binding off the Speckle and Pop shawl. It's pretty massive, and I'm realizing as I bind it off and I'm getting it away from the cable and needles, I can start to see its true size, I guess would be the best way to describe that. And I'm finding that it's massive in width, but it's really not. I mean, it's nice and deep, but it's not anything crazy deep. But it probably will be after I block it, though. Trying to figure out the best way to show this to you, again, because it is massive and halfway bound off. There's a bit of maneuvering. So, and there's still yarn attached to it. Okay, so here is, no, it's like, it is massive. Who am I kidding? So here is the first edge, and I've bound off, bound off, bound off, and I'm about halfway through. So you can see my needle hanging there, and that's, well, it's not quite halfway, because halfway is the middle of the purple. So almost halfway through the bind off, and I still have to bind off all of this, and you can see all of my stitch markers dangling. I'm slowly getting them back. I've got a little cup that I've kept next to the project, and it's full of stitch markers that I have been reclaiming from this project. So I just kind of work on it here and there when I have time. It's just an I-cord bind off, which is slow going. You know, you are knitting 3, decreasing 1, and then you switch back to your other needle and repeat. So it's like knitting 4 rows, right? That's about right. So hopefully it'll be done by the next time I record. The only other project that I'm still working on is the Jolly Joy and Other Junk, and I'm actually pretty far behind, but I think it's something I can catch up on easily. So this is a pattern on, if you go to patreon.com/hooked by happenstance, my brain jumped on me there. You'll go to the Hooked by Happenstance Patreon page, and at the $2 level you have access to this Jolly Joy and Other Junk. It's like a crochet advent experience ish. This is the episode of ishes. At $2, I think that's a ridiculously low price for access to everything that you get for this pattern. First of all, it's a beautiful pattern. So I'll show you. I am through row 13, and it's a 25 row pattern, so it came out over 25 days, or is coming out over 25 days, a week before Christmas, so that if you finish it, it can be gifted. So the last part of the pattern comes out tomorrow, and I've only just finished row 13, so I am like 11 rows behind. But the rows don't take all too long unless you go for the super beaded option, which I did, but I'm at the point where the beads are kind of fading out, and that's making the rows go by quicker. So I'm using Cattails yarn in her merino silk base in the Great Pumpkin colorway, I believe. And so you crochet this using a H hook. I think that's is that a 5.0, 5.5? I'm not sure. Might be 5.5. No. I don't. Does it say? It's a 5.0 millimeter hook, which is kind of large for fingering weight, but it gives you this nice drapey texture, and the silk and the beads. I'm loving this. She did mention in the latest video that I watched that this is worked from the top down. I thought we were working from the bottom up, so I kept looking at it this way. But she said, no, we started at the top and we're working our way down. And it's kind of hard to see, I think, from this far back. But there's like these, and I have variegated yarn, but there's these mesh sections with these like fan clusters. And there's 7 kind of design elements throughout that are kind of, I guess, going to make some kind of image, I think she said. I have no idea what we're doing. This is a mystery crochet along, because I have no idea what this is supposed to look like. She has mentioned that the name will give away what we're making. So I know that there's 7 of these, if that helps anyone try to guess what it is. I, at this point, have no idea. Maybe it will make sense as I work a few more rows. I'm sorry, I just keep moving this around and that's not helpful. Just hold it in place. I'm trying to show it to you, but it's so long that I can't share all of it. I really like how the ends are beaded and kind of the decreased shaping we have going on here. She says it's a shawlette, so that's kind of the shape we're going with. But these cluster sections, I have mine heavily beaded, and I love the way that it looks. I love the weight of the beads. Oh, here's a good way. Here's a good place to get an idea of some of the shaping going on. It is worth mentioning that I found out that Kendra was using size 8 beads, and I'm using size 6, so my beads are larger and heavier. So I didn't know that going in, but no regrets. Like I said, it's still not, like, I was worried about it being too heavy, but I think so far it's really good. It's a good amount of weight to open everything up. So yeah, I've been enjoying working on that, and I think I should be able to finish it on time. Moving on to finished objects, I made a stocking. So my work's holiday party does a contest every year, and this year was to make a stocking or embellish one. It was a stocking contest. So I always try to make something that I want to keep, because I don't like to make pointless things just for the sake of competition. So I just kind of threw together a snowflake wintry inspired stocking, because that's my favorite aesthetic for the season, is cool blues, snow. And so I came up with, what is that? There's like paper on it. I came up with this guy. So I made the whole stocking completely from scratch. I knit the body just using a basic toe-up sock recipe using Haiku Tiara, which is this really fun yarn that has beads and sequins in it. So I knit the body of the sock with that, and then I knit the cuff with Haiku Simply Air, held double. And so Simply Air is a boucle yarn. And so it's super soft and fuzzy, and I thought it would give kind of like that nice light snow look. You know the snow that's so cold it doesn't like compact or make snowballs? I remember one year it snowed when I was a kid, and we were so upset because we went outside to have a snowball fight, and it was so cold, the snow was so soft that it just was like powder, and you just put it together and it just poofed, and we were just disappointed. That's what it reminds me of. I did a I-cord loop with the tiara, and I sewed it in, and I also sewed a lining out of some fleece I had in stash, this kind of blue and white striped, not fleece, flannel. So it is lined, so it's actually functional, because this tiara, I felt like it would just stretch out too much if you actually put stuff in it. And then I crocheted some snowflakes and sewed them onto the body. I crocheted the snowflakes out of Vegas. I don't know exactly who the yarn is by, but it's called Vegas. It's sparkly. I've talked about it in my videos before. So then I also did a little bit of surface crochet here with Vegas in a white color, just to kind of do some swirly wind whimsy. And then I also sewed on some snowflake buttons. So here is my new Christmas stocking. Now that I have one, I feel obligated to make one for my kids as well. So I'm not going to hang mine up this year since they don't have special ones. I'm going to wait until next year when I can make them their own special ones. Also, since I've last recorded, I took on 2 orders for a total of 3 items. I had a woolly fur cowl order, which woolly fur is what I call kind of the service of blending and spinning your pet's fur into yarn. Here is some of the leftover yarn that I spun up for the cowl. So this is bearded collie dog fur blended with a white Shetland fleece and a brown, I don't remember what Oreo is. I can't remember what breed of sheep Oreo is, but he was a brown sheep. He was really dark chocolate when he was younger, and he lightened up with age. That seems to be the thing that happens with some colored sheep. Like, this white came from a sheep who was named Hershey. He was a dark, dark chocolate baby, and now you can tell his fleece is almost purely white. So, at least I know with Shetlands that's the case. I don't remember what Oreo is. I know he's something different because he was twice the size of the other sheep. So, I think he was a Jacob mix, but I don't remember what he was mixed with. Romney, maybe? I think he might be Romney Jacob. Maybe not, though. Maybe I'm making that up. So, I spun these up, knit them into a cowl. I kind of used the quick ombre hat pattern to come up with this cowl. Kind of merged that with what I thought would look nice with the 2 colors. So, I did that, got that done, and then I also knit 2 bobble hats, but they're the ones with the Border Collie chart in them. They were identical in pink and gray, and I got those done and sent out before Christmas as well. I just mailed them out yesterday. So, moving on to Let's Chat, because my kids are up. I'm sure you can hear them. I got to finish this up. So, I got some more yarn for some more designs over the holidays. So, I probably won't record again until after Christmas and maybe the New Year. We'll see what's going on. This time of year is just full of family activities, which is fun, and I focus on that instead. So, I will pop in and say hi as I can. But I have a feeling it'll be a little while before I record again, like maybe 2 weeks max. But I also know that like at these activities I'll have a good amount of crafting time. So I got some yarn to finish up my designs. So I've got this cowl that I've been sharing. This is the version out of Snowballs. I'm going to be using these gorgeous purples. This is Shopple Reggae Print. So I'm going to make up an official sample and write the official pattern with that soon. And then I also got a big hank of Haiku Kensington to do the official pattern for my cabled hat. So, oh, and I was going to mention that cabled hat, the black one out of Woolfolk left. I wore the hat outside and it surprisingly was fine. It was windy and the wind didn't cut through like I expected, and it was warm, so I was actually happy with it. So I'm going to give this yarn a go and see how that works out. Then I also got these yarns to do some swatching for a new design. This is Haiku L'Amour. I just need an excuse to use this color, really. It's called Sweet Potato. I've got it with some neutrals here, and I've got some ideas of what I want to do with it. So I just got 4 colors. I'm going to do some swatching and see if what I have in mind is going to work out. What I have in mind does include this linen moss stitch, woven stitch on the bias. So we'll see. Hopefully what I have in mind will work out. I'm going to make a mini version of the design to make sure it works before I dive into the whole thing. So that's all I have to talk about this week. I will catch you likely after Christmas, maybe after the New Year. Have a happy holidays, whatever you decide to celebrate or not celebrate. And I will see you guys next time. Until then, happy crafting. Bye!